Let's go to Rule 13, Filing and Service of Pleading. So dito sa Filing and Service of Pleadings, based on your syllabus, dalawa lang po yung nakalagay na topics that we have to discuss, no? Yung una is yung payment rules on docket fees and effect of non-payment. Na-discuss na natin ito earlier. Yung isa is itong AM number 1037 SC for the revised guidelines on submission of electronic copies of Supreme Court-bound papers pursuant to the efficient use of paper rule. Okay, so ito yan, no? Natapos na natin yung sa docket fees, punta tayo ngayon sa AM number 1037. Okay? So ito po yung mga notable na mga principles that we can check, no? We can read sa efficient use of paper rule o yung e-filing rule na to, no? Kung matatanong tayo sa bar nito, probably simple matters lang. Simple principles lang. Tapos bibigyan kayo ng simpleng hypothetical question and then you answer accordingly. So, ang prediction natin dito, the bar exam will just check if you are diligent, if you are careful in checking and reading your bar syllabus. Hindi kayo pahihirapan masyado, pero they will make sure na nagbasa kayo ng syllabus nyo. Okay? Sige, let's start, no? Under this administrative matter, no? Pleadings filed with the Supreme Court must now or must also be filed electronically. Okay? No? Pleadings filed with the Supreme Court must also be filed electronically. So, meron dapat email. I-email mo sa Supreme Court yung pleading aside sa hard copy. Okay? Electronic copies of all Supreme Court-bound papers and their annexes must be submitted within 24 hours from the filing of the hard copies by transmitting them through electronic mail. So, ifa-file mo, sabihin natin, ifa-file mo ngayon yung petition for review and certiorari, no, under Rule 45, and then within 24 hours, i-send mo through email yung electronic copy nito. So, mag-i-scan ka. Mag-i-scan ka ng hard copy. No? So, in practice do, sabayan na yan, isang araw na lang. No? So, yung hard copy, bago i-send ng message, bago ibigay sa messenger, bago magpunta yung messenger sa kailangan pag-filean, i-scan na yan sa law office, sa law firm. After i-scan yan, ipa-file yung hard copy sa Supreme Court and then i-send via email, through email yung soft copy. Ganon yan. Normally, hindi na tumatagal ng one day na the next day pa ipa-file, no. Same day yan. Sa bayan nangyayari yan halos. Okay? When is the pleading deemed filed? Okay? When the hard copy is filed in person by registered mail or by accredited courier. Accredited courier, dalawa po, no? LBC at saka Ninjaban. The same shall be deemed to have been filed on the date and time of the filing of the hard copy, not the date and time of the transmission of the electronic copy. So, una pong, di ba, sabi nga dito sa administrative matter na to, ang unang ipa-file yung hard copy and then to follow yung electronic copy. So, ang date of filing, yung filing ng hard copy. Okay, so that filing can be in person, pwedeng pumunta mismo sa Padre Faura, pwede, no? Pwedeng registered mail, so sa PhilPost, or pwedeng accredited courier. So kung may hinahabol tayong 15-day period to file an appeal, di ba? Petition for review and certiorari under Rule 45. Pag naibigay mo na sa PhilPost, nakuha mo na yung registry return, yung card, no? Pag nakuha mo na yun, okay, filed na yan. Accredited courier sa LBC, pag nakuha mo na yung resibo for that, filed na yan. Okay? When the manner of filing of the paper or other court submission is made online, like email, the date of the electronic transmission shall be considered the date of the filing, provided that express permission is granted by the court for the online filing of the following documents. So, ibig kong sabihin nito, ifa-file mo yung pleading, online lang talaga, no? Is made online. When the manner of filing of the paper is made online lang talaga. So, pag online lang talaga ang filing, edi yung date ng electronic transmission, yung date of filing. In the absence of the express permission from the court to file it electronically, no? The date of the filing shall be the date when the hard copy was filed in person, registered mail, delivered to the accredited courier. So, medyo mahaba yung provision, pero gano'n lang kasimple yan. As a general rule, hard copy yun ang magiging date of filing. Kung kailan na i-file yung hard copy, yun po yung date of filing. Exception is if there's express permission from the court, no, that this pleading can be filed online. Pag ganun po ang nangyari, ang date of filing mo, transmission of email or the date of the electronic transmission. Kung walang express permission, filing ng hard copy. Okay? So, the electronic copy should be the exact copy as the hard copy, obviously. Okay? The following must be considered as proof of filing. For papers filed in person, the official receiving stamp. May istampan kasi yan pag na-receive. Tapos lalagyan ng date sa kapirma nung nag-receive. Ganun yan. Must be duly signed by the receiving clerk. May date din yan. Okay, so the date, okay. For papers filed by a registered mail or accredited courier, proof of mailing clearly showing the date and time of mailing or delivery. May bibigay na card yan. No? And proof of the payment of fees when applicable. Okay, for papers filed electronically, PDF copy of the affidavit of electronic filing with the undertaking that the filer will submit the exact paper hard copy to the court in person and express authority from the court to file the initiatory pleadings. Okay. So, yeah. Hindi na to masyadong itatanong sa inyo. Just read this through na yung proof of filing. Kung matatanong kayo, probably dito sa when is the pleading deemed filed and whether, ayan, medyo isa-challenge kayo, no? Tatanungin kayo, correlation ng period to file an appeal, period to file a petition for certiorari, and when is a pleading deemed filed. Diyan kayo tatanungin. So, yung 15-day period na expire ba or nakapag-file ba on time yung party concerned, no? Correlation of this. When is a pleading deemed filed with the Supreme Court and whether the 15-day period to appeal, sabihin natin, has elapsed. Okay, next. The email shall contain only electronic documents pertaining to one case. Another pa to pwedeng itanong sa inyo, no? Tandaan natin, one email, one case. Kasi meron pong marami pong pagkakataon na same parties pero different yung cases. Sabihin natin isang forcible entry case, isang action reivindicatoria. Same plaintiff, same mali pala yun kasi METSI pala yun. Okay. Anyways, sa Supreme Court to. Sabihin natin, the email shall contain only electronic documents pertaining to one case. Sabihin natin, both parties, yung isa petition for certiorari under Rule 65, isa petition for review on certiorari under Rule 45. Pareho ang parties. No? Yung pong magsesend ng email, hindi pwedeng ilagay yung dalawang kaso na yun, tapos one email. No. One case, one email. Okay? Sige. As a general, so tandaan nyo yun, no? So, hindi pwede. Pag ano yan, kapag contained yung two cases sa isang email, di ba? Mali yan, no? It does not comply with the administrative matter. Okay? Next, as a general rule, all documents and annexes pertaining to one case shall be attached to one email. So, ibig mo sabihin, kasi may mga pagkakataon talaga, especially pag sa Supreme Court na napakahaba na ng exhibit. Umaabot na ng AAA, ganun. Kasi ABCD yan. 26 letters. Pag naubos mo na, yung next, AA, BB, C, C, D, D. Naubos mo ulit. AAA, BBB, CCC, gano'n na yan. Napakadami na. So, nagkakaroon po ng pagkakataon kung kailan napakalaki na po nung size nung files, size nung scanned copies. So, hindi na po siya kakasya sa isang email kasi alam naman natin na isang email meron lang maximum parang limit, 'di ba? Storage limit, no? So, as a general rule, all documents and annexes pertaining to one case shall be attached to one email. As an exception, in case the total file size of the electronic documents exceeds the maximum size allowed for uploading by the email service provider. So, normally yan Gmail, no? The filer shall send the electronic documents in several batches, no? Example, batch 1 of 3, ganun. Batch 2 of 3, batch 3 of 3, ganun. No? So, ang mangyayari dyan, probably, yung sabihin natin, yung appellant's brief, isang ano yan, isang PDF file. Okay, sa email na yon. Tapos, yung next email, yung other attachments, Annex A, Annex B, Annex C, ganun, mahaba yan. Iba-ibang PDF files, pero sa isang email, kasi nga isang kaso lang. Okay? The filer shall attach a verified declaration that the pleading and the annexes submitted electronically are complete and true copies of the hard copies. Kasi para ma-make sure na hindi sila walang fraudulent act, na iba yung electronic copy, iba hard copy. How should the party serve the opposing party the pleadings? Okay, so alam na natin kung paano i-file. Paano namang isa-serve yung pleadings sa opposing party. Pleadings, motions, notices, balik tayo sa Rule 13, no? Section 5. Pleadings, motions, notices, orders, judgments, and other court submissions shall be served personally, registered mail, accredited courier, electronic mail, facsimile transmission, or other electronic means as may be authorized by the court or as provided for in international conventions to which the Philippines is a party. Okay? Thus, the party can serve his pleadings personally, registered mail, or accredited courier without a need, okay, for an explanation why it cannot be served personally. Kasi po before, no, before yung 2019 amendments sa civil procedure, hindi nyo na rin naman ma-experience siguro yun. Pero sa huli kasi, sa huling portion ng pleading, sabihin natin complaint. Sa huling portion niya may nakalagay dyan explanation. Okay? Explanation. Ba't ka mag-i-explain? I-explain mo na due to time constraints and lack of messengers, di ba? The undersigned counsel was constrained to serve the complaint to the opposing party through registered mail or through accredited courier. May ganun ka sa huli. Explanation. Pero ngayon nga po, dahil nga sabi na rin ng Section 5 Rule 13, wala pong nakalagay dyan na preference. Anything na mga means na to pwede. Walang favoritism. Kung gusto mo, i-LBC mo, no problem. Gusto mo, i-fill post mo, no problem. Gusto mo, i-personal, no problem. Okay? Hindi po katulad ng dati. Kasi dati, tandaan nyo ha, before the amendments, the rules preferred personal service. And then you need to explain why you cannot do it personally kung mag-fill post ka. Ngayon, hindi na kailangan yun. So, pwede nang i-delete yun sa last part nung pleading. Okay? However, no, for service by electronic means, tandaan nyo to, it shall be made if the other party, no, or if the other party consents to such mode of service. So, pag hindi nag-consent yung other party na magbigayan kayo through email na mga pleadings nyo, hindi pwede yan. Kailangan, i-serve nyo pa rin yan ng personally registered mail or accredited courier. Okay, so tandaan natin pala, no, before we finish ito. Ito pong 1 to 11, lahat po ito about filing. Filing lahat yan sa Supreme Court. No? Ihiwalay ko pala to para mas maganda. Ayan. Service of pleadings. Motions, notices, orders, and so on. Yan. Ito pong 1 to 11 na to, filing yan sa Supreme Court. Itong service na to, service naman yan sa opposing party. Okay? Service by electronic means shall be made by sending an email to the party or counsel's electronic mail address upon the direction of the court. Normally, makikita nyo yan dun sa mismong pleading ng kabilang party. Kasi nakalagay dyan, sabihin natin, ABC Law Office, counsel for the defendant, tapos ilalagay yung, tapos ganyan. Tapos sa baba nun, pangalan, Juan de la Cruz, IBP number, tapos yung MCLE compliance, PTR receipt number, mga ganyan. Roll number pala, may ganyan pa. Roll number, kung anong sa roll of attorneys. Tapos nakalagay sa baba, email, contact number, and so on. Doon mo makikita, doon mo isi-send. No? Anyway, so kayo matatanong sa service. Kung matatanong kayo dito sa explanation na to, diyan kayo pwedeng tanungin. Okay? Hindi na kailangan yan. Under the new rules. Okay, let's go to Rule 14, no, on summons. Okay, so itong summons na to, throwback tayo ng konti, related dyan sa venue at saka sa jurisdiction. How? Kasi nagkakagulo tayo lagi sa incapable of pecuniary estimation, capable of pecuniary estimation, personal action, real action, saka action in personam, in rem, at saka quasi in rem. So yung capable of pecuniary estimation, BP 129, alam nyo na yan. Personal action, real action, venue, in rem, quasi in rem, in personam, summons yan. Okay? So the nature and purpose of summons in relation to actions in personam, in rem, quasi in rem. No? For actions in personam, proper service of summons is required to acquire jurisdiction over the person of the defendant. For in rem and quasi in rem, proper service of summons is still required for due process purposes naman. In both cases, no, if there was improper service of summons, the judgment will be void for different reasons. Kasi nga isa, walang jurisdiction over the person of the defendant. Yung isa naman, violation of due process. Tandaan nyo to. Okay? Palilito. Kahit ano pa yung action na yan. The preferred mode of summons is service in person or personal service of summons. Tandaan nyo. Kahit ano pang klase yung action. In rem, quasi in rem, in personam, we do not care. Okay? Personal service of summons dapat. Okay? Sige. In case of improper service of summons, here are the effects. So, sa in persona muna tayo. The defendant can allege lack of jurisdiction over the person of the defendant as an affirmative defense in the answer. Okay? In rem, quasi in rem, the defendant cannot. Kompletohin natin yung thought, no? The defendant cannot allege lack of jurisdiction over the person of the defendant in the answer because jurisdiction over the person of the defendant is not required. Kasi jurisdiction over the thing itself or jurisdiction over the rest is already sufficient, di ba? For actions in rem and quasi in rem. In both scenarios, no? In case there was improper service of summons, so ulitin ko ulit, the judgment will be void. The judgment will be void. Okay, dagdagan natin to. Because sa isa, lack of jurisdiction over the person of the defendant. Sa isa naman, violation of due process, no? So, in case there, the judgment is void for lack of jurisdiction over the person of the defendant. Okay. So naman, the judgment is void for violation of due process. Lastly, in case the defendant was improperly declared in default because of improper service of summons, the judgment will be void based on extrinsic fraud. Same thing din po dito. Both, pareho. Okay, tandaan nyo 'to, 'no? Kahit na action in rem yan like, petition for correction of entry, yung pong mga interested persons, puwede pa rin po silang ma-declare in default. So, halimbawa, correction of entry, sino ba ang interested parties diyan? Yung magulang, the parents of the petitioner. Sabihin natin hindi po nai-serve properly yung summons sa magulang nung petitioner. Oh, puwede ba silang ma-default yung, mga magulang? Yes, puwedeng magkaroon, 'no? Ay, by the way, wag muna pala dun. Sabihin natin, nag-file yung anak ng petition for correction of entry, okey. Who are the interested parties? The parents, among others, 'no? Civil register and so on. Yung magulang, isa-summons yan, okey? Ngayon hindi sumagot yung magulang despite the service of summons. Sabihin natin proper service of summons. Anong mangyayari diyan? The petitioner, the child, sabihin natin, can file a motion to declare in default yung parents. At 'pag napatunayan, 'di ba, na failure talaga, 'no, to file an answer within the time prescribed by the rules, and wala namang justification for this, failure, 'no, made-declare in default yung magulang. Kahit na action in rem, tandaan niyo 'yan. Ang action in rem wala po ay ang declaration of default wala pong pinipiling action 'yan. In personam in rem quasi in rem, meron default. Okey, punta tayo sa next natin, ito. What if the defendant was improperly declared in default? Sabihin natin yung magulang improperly served ng summons. What's the remedy ng magulang, 'no? Wag parang the judgment will be void, 'no? The defendant can file, okay, a motion to set aside the order of default based on extrinsic fraud. Yan, mas maganda. Para mas buo yung thought, 'no? Okay? Both scenarios. Okay? Sige. Dagdagan na rin natin sa taas, 'no? Para mas mas full context, 'no? The defendant, 'no, can be, uh, declared in default. Okay. So, same thing din po sa kabila. Defendant or respondent can be declared in default. Okay? Yeah. Let's move to this. Correlate BP 129, venue, and summons, 'no? So, throwback. Kuha tayo ulit. The plaintiff filed an action for collection of sum of money in the amount of 1 million pesos with the RTC, Manila. The defendant resides in Manila. The sheriff made a substituted service of summons on the defendant. Should the case be dismissed? Why? Yes, the case must be dismissed because the RTC has no jurisdiction over claims not exceeding 2 million pesos. Next example, 'no? The plaintiff filed an action for collection of sum of money in the amount of 3 million pesos with the RTC Manila. So, may venue RTC kasi exceeding 2 million, hindi tayo sa jurisdiction, bumagsak dito. The plaintiff and the defendant reside in Pasig. The sheriff made a substituted service of summons on the defendant. Should the case be dismissed? Why? Yes, ulit. Saan tayo nagbintis dito? Sa venue naman. Kasi, sa Manila final, pero it is a personal action and the parties reside in Pasig. So, dapat the case should have been filed with the RTC Pasig, hindi po RTC Manila. That's why the case will be dismissed based on improper venue. Okay? Next example. The plaintiff filed an action for collection of sum of money in the amount of 3 million with the RTC, Manila. The plaintiff and the defendant reside in Manila. The sheriff made a substituted service of summons on the defendant after one attempt. Should the case be dismissed? Why? Yes, the case must be dismissed naman ngayon because of lack of jurisdiction over the person of the defendant. Pasok po tayo sa RTC kasi 3 million. Pasok din tayo sa Manila kasi nga they reside in Manila, yung parties. Pero nag-substituted service of summons after 1 attempt. Di ba dapat 3 attempts on 2 different dates, no? So, that's your answer. Okay. Who may serve summons, no? So, as a general rule, sheriff yan. Sheriff ang nagse-serve ng summons, no? As exception, the plaintiff can serve the summons. May 3 na dahilan, no? In case of failure to serve summons, so hindi na i-serve ng sheriff. Okay. Service outside the judicial region. Sabihin natin, no, 1 judicial region po ang NCR. Yung defendant nakatira sa Laguna. Pwedeng plaintiff ang magpunta sa Laguna upang i-serve yung summons. And summons was returned without being served. Okay. What if the plaintiff misrepresents that the defendant was served summons? No? The case will be dismissed with prejudice. So let's correlate. Pag kasi nag-misrepresent yung defendant, what if the plaintiff misrepresents that the defendant was served summons? So pag nag-misrepresent po yung plaintiff, sinabi niya, sinerve ko yung summons pero hindi naman talaga. Ano mangyayari sa kaso dyan later on? Magkakaroon po ng order of default. Kasi ang gagawin ng plaintiff dyan, ako mag-serve ng summons. Hindi niya sinerve yung summons. Ang next niyang move, motion to declare in default the defendant. Kasi hindi nakapag-file ng answer. Hindi naman kasi sinerve yung summons eh. Paano makakapag-file ng answer yan? Pero yun ang ginawa ng plaintiff. Nagkaroon ng order of default, nag-present ng evidence ex parte yung plaintiff, later on nagkaroon ng judgment of default. After the judgment, nalaman siya ngayon ng defendant, sabihin natin. No? Nalaman ko na meron palang kaso laban sa akin. Ano ngayon ang possible remedy nung defendant? Petition for relief, motion for new trial based on extrinsic fraud. Okay? Yun ang remedy niya. Napatunayan niya ngayon, sabihin natin, dun sa motion for new trial, that the plaintiff misrepresented that the defendant was served summons. But, in truth, wala pong summons na sinerve sa kanya. Ano mangyayari? Ang result niyan, the order of default and the judgment of default will be nullified. They will be set aside. Okay? And, instead of remanding, instead of conducting a trial de novo, or ano trial, motion for new trial yan eh. Huwag palang de novo na, pagulo pa tayo. Instead of conducting no trial, ang gagawin po ng court, i-dismiss yung kaso with prejudice. See? Ganun po yan, no? If the plaintiff was authorized to serve the summons and he misrepresented that the defendant was served summons when in truth, the defendant was not served summons, ang mangyayari, after niyang sabihin yon sa court, magka-file ng motion yan, di ba? To declare in default. After doing that, syempre, pag naniwala ang court, order of default, present evidence ex parte, judgment of default. O ngayon, during the appeal period, nalaman nung defendant na nagkaroon pala ng judgment against him. What's the remedy? Motion for new trial. Sa motion for new trial, pwedeng patunayan ni defendant that the plaintiff never served the summons to him. What will happen? Maaanal yung order of default, yung judgment of default. Normally, magko-conduct po ng new trial ang court. So, balik tayo sa simula. Pero sabi na po dito, direktiba na rin ng rules of court, no? Hindi po ganun. Hindi na kailangang mag-ulit pa sa simula. Ang mangyayari, dismissal with prejudice na agad. Yung kaso. So, panalo na si defendant. Okay? Next. Validity of summons and issuance of alias summons, no? Tandaan natin to ha. The summons remains valid until duly served. Okay? Yung dating rules, meron pong specific period of time ang validity ng summons. Okay? So, dati, Dati po, merong well, ito i-correlation na rin 'to sa alias summons 'no. Ito yung sabi sa dating rules of court, is if a summons is returned without being served on any or all of the defendants, the server shall also serve a copy of the return on the plaintiff's counsel, stating the reasons for the failure of service within 5 days therefrom. In such a case, or if the summons has been lost, the clerk on the demand may issue an alias summons. Okay, ito yung dati, no? Ano ngayon yung bago? Ang bago po, valid na yan until it's duly served, no? And ang alias summons po, mai-issue lang yan when the summons was lost or destroyed. Dati po, nag-a-alias summons kapag gusto ng another summons kasi hindi ma-serve yung summons. Okay? Kaya nag-a-alias summons before, no? Ngayon po, hindi na kailangan yun kasi nga valid naman yung summons all along until ma-serve yan. So, kailan ka lang mag-a-alias summons? If the summons was lost or destroyed. Okay? Hindi na kailangan na mag-apply pa ng another summons kung hindi ma-serve yung summons. Kung gusto mong mag-try ulit mag-serve, hindi na kailangan. Valid palagi yung summons until it was duly served. Okay? Sige, next tayo. Personal service. No? How is personal service of summons made? No? Sa individuals po na tayo. Individual defendants. Okay? First, by handing a copy of the summons to the defendant in person and informing him that he is being served. Handing a copy of the summons to the defendant in person and informing him that he is being served. Yung iba nagpapanggap pa. Para hindi mapagkamalang sheriff na pala siya. Nagpapanggap na rider or whatever. No? Courier. Ganun. Okay. Or itong tinatawag na tendering. Consider din po ito as personal service of summons. No? If he refuses to receive and sign it by leaving the summons within the view and in the presence of the defendant. Okay, so personal din po ito. Ang tawag dyan, tendering. Yung isa handing. Itong pangalawa naman, tendering. How do you tender? Pag ayaw pong tanggapin ng defendant, mag-leave ka ng summons in his view and in his presence. Okay? Tandaan yan. Hindi po substituted yan, ha? Okay. Basta dapat, paano magagawa ito? Within the view and in the presence dapat nung defendant. Okay? Nakikita niya at nasa presensya niya. Iwanan mo. Ito, iwanan ko na. Ayaw mong pirmahan, bahala ka. Basta ito. You are being served. Ganun. Okay. Tapos sa return, nung sheriff later of sa sheriff's return, kung siya man nung nag-serve, isulat na lang niya yun, ha? The defendant refused to receive and sign the summons. No? So, the sheriff left the summons within the view and in the presence of the defendant. Something like that. Okay. Sa domestic corporations and partnerships naman, how is personal service of summons made? Tandaan nyo to, kung matatanong, pwede dito. Kung medyo basic yung tanong sa inyo, sa substituted service of summons kayo, tatanungin yung at least 3 attempts on 2 separate dates. Pero kung gusto talagang i-challenge yung mastery nyo ng caudal at saka understanding nyo ng caudal, dito papasok yan. Akala kasi ng mga, kasi dati rin, no? Well, di pala dati. Akala kasi ng mga students, no, yung mga examinees, pag sinerve mo ang summons sa sekretarya ng isang boss, ng isang korporasyon, sekretarya ng isang korporasyon or sa front, ang tawag doon, yung front desk, yan. Pag ibinigay nung sheriff sa front desk officer yung summons, sasabihin nila, substituted service of summons yung ginawa. Or pag binigay sa sekretarya ng presidente ng korporasyon against the corporation, substituted service of summons daw yung ginawa. Mali po yun. Tandaan nyo, pag corporation ang defendant, mali po yun. Okay? sa domestic corporations and partnerships po, merong 3 paraan ng personal service of summons. Una, you hand a copy to the president, managing partner, general manager, kasi nga 3 na yan, head yan. Head yan ng kumpanya. CORSEC, corporate secretary, treasurer, in-house counsel. Okay. Tandaan nyo, 3 head ng company, CORSEC, treasurer, in-house counsel. Okay? What if absent sila? Walang presidente, walang managing, walang general manager, walang in-house counsel, walang treasurer, walang secretary. Pwede kang mag-personal service by handing a copy on their secretaries. So, una mo, yung pinakatao mismo. Pwede papasok din po dito yung CEO. Kasi parang president din yan eh. Okay? Next, wala siya, secretary. Personal service pa rin yun. Wala yung presidente, and so on, wala yung secretary, may pangatlo ka uling option. If it cannot be made upon any of them, by handing a copy upon the person who customarily receives correspondence in the principal office. So, in practice, no, in real life, syempre, presidente, normally, kadikit niya yung sekretarya niya. Pumunta sa ibang lugar, o di wala yung boss, wala yung secretary. In the case is against a corporation. Sino naiwan sa office? Yung front desk officer. Can the sheriff make a personal service of summons by handing a copy upon the front desk officer? Pwede. Yes. Kasi the front desk officer is a person who customarily receives correspondence. Siya ang normally tumatanggap ng mga sulat ng kumpanya, ng corporation. So, valid service of summons yun. Tandaan nyo yan. Valid service of summons yun. Okay? Uulitin ko ulit. Itong 3 na to, this only applies if the defendant is a domestic corporation. Domestic partnership. Okay? Hindi ko paano ngayon, iba po ang kaso laban sa korporasyon at yung kaso laban sa tao. Okay? Sa individual. Ito, let's make it a little bit complicated. What if ang kaso laban sa individual? Yung individual, siya ay presidente ng isang kumpanya. Okay, sabihin natin, action for damages against Mr. A. Mr. A is the president of ABC Corporation. We now want to serve the summons to Mr. A. Pwede ba bang gamitin to? No. You cannot use this kahit na presidente siya ng ABC Corporation because the case is not against a corporation. The case is against an individual. So ito po ang gagana dyan. Meron lang 2 paraan upang makapag-personal service of summons dun sa CEO, presidente ng ABC Corporation. Kasi nga, individual defendant. So either you hand a copy sa kanya or itender mo sa kanya. Hindi pwedeng ibibigay mo sa sekretarya niya. Okay? Hindi pwedeng ibibigay mo sa sekretarya niya. That's not personal service of summons. But if the case is against a corporation, wala yung presidente, nagtatago, sabihin natin, iserve mo sa sekretarya niya, no problem. That's considered as a valid personal service of summons. With that being said, let's go to substituted service of summons. Okay? Ano sabi dito? Pag individuals ulit, there must be at least 3 attempts on 2 separate dates. So, 2 yan, no? Number of attempts at saka correct recipient. Number of attempts, 3 attempts, 2 separate dates of service in person. Okay? Correct recipient, pag sa bahay, at least 18 years of age, sufficient discretion, residing therein. Okay? When you say sufficient discretion, this means the person understands the importance of the service of summons. Alam niya kung ano ba yun. And the urgency that and the knowledge that the defendant must be informed of this summons. So, alam niyo talaga yung importance ng summons na yan. Yung ibig sabihin ng discretion. At least 18 years of age, sufficient discretion residing therein. So, tatlo. 18, age, discretion, residency. Next, pag sa office or regular place of business, some competent person in charge thereof. Okay, so sa sekretarya ng boss ng corporation, the case is against the boss of the corporation, not the corporation itself. May dalawang ways for personal service, handing a copy to the president or tendering it to him. Pag hindi po pasok sa dalawa, substituted service of summons tayo. So, makakapag-serve ka lang sa sekretarya ng boss in a case against the boss, not the corporation, if there was at least 3 attempts on 2 separate dates. Nun lang pwedeng mag-serve sa sekretarya. Pag wala pong 3 attempts on 2 separate dates, hindi pwede. That's an improper service of summons. Okay. Next. Subdivision or condominium. If the sheriff was refused entry upon making his or her authority and purpose known with any of the officers of the Homeowners Association or Condo Corp or its chief security officer in charge. Okay. So, ibig po sabihin nito, hindi pinapasok sa village. Hindi pinapasok sa condo. No? 3 attempt on 2 separate dates. Ulitin natin, individual defendant. Pag po gano'n nangyari, ibigay mo na lang yung summons dun sa Chief Security Officer nung subdivision ng condo or any officer ng HOA or ng Condo Corp. And lastly, email if allowed by court. Hayaan muna natin itong email. No? So, tandaan nyo yan, ha? Itong tatlo na to, this only happens if there was at least 3 attempts on 2 separate dates. You cannot resort to this directly after 1 attempt. Hindi pwede yan. Okay? Sana po malinaw, no? Titingnan nyo lagi sa exam nyo. Always check who is the defendant. Yung boss ba mismo or yung corporation? Kasi iba po ang rules. Okay? Now, isa lang po ang substituted service of summons for domestic corporations and partnerships. At least 3 attempts to separate dates, email if allowed by the court. Diba? Kung napapansin nyo, inakyat lahat. Pag corporation, inakyat lahat as personal service of summons itong secretary saka customarily receives correspondence na to. Personal talaga sila lahat. 1 attempt, hindi ko na iserve sa presidente, punta tayo agad sa sekretarya, pwede yan. Or kung wala pa yung sekretarya, sa front desk, pwede yan. Pag individual, di pwede. At least 3 attempts to separate dates pa. Okay? That's why I made it like this, no? Para hindi fragmented yung pag-aaral natin. Okay? Let's move to constructive service, no? Wait. Yan.